Welcome, one and all. It's the WrestleTalk Podcast. He's here to show the world. He's here to show the world. Come on. Dolph Ziggler, Mr. Ziggles, is your new NXT champion in 2022. What world are we living in? So before we actually talk about that, if you want to hear your thoughts read out on this show, make sure you send in your Ultrachats to WrestleTalk.com/support, and we will read out every one that's $5 or above before the end of the show. I am here joined by the one and only SP3, and we're talking about Dolph Ziggler. It will never make sense to me to say NXT champion Dolph Ziggler. NXT champion Dolph Ziggler defeating Tommaso Ciampa with a super kick in this triple threat main event against Bron Breakker and Tommaso Ciampa. SP3, why is Dolph Ziggler NXT champion in 2022?
Why is Dolph Ziggler the first ever person to win the World Heavyweight Championship and the NXT Championship in 2022 over the guy that they put the title on to kind of usher in the NXT 2.0 era? So we're either heading to him winning the title back during WrestleMania weekend in front of fans, or heading to Dolph transitioning over to someone else. It baffles the mind why they didn't just do this on Stand and Deliver, or I don't know, but it has definitely got people talking about NXT more than they have since it's been rebranded. So good move on WWE's part. If it's all about people talking, they did their job.
Sure. I mean, I've been saying on these podcasts recently, like when I watch WWE shows, I'm just on the side of chaos. Like I just want the most chaotic thing to happen. So when Goldberg goes to Saudi Arabia to face Roman Reigns, I was like, I wonder what happens if Goldberg wins. I just want to see what Twitter looks like. Like I was the only person who was like, when Goldberg beat Bray Wyatt in Saudi Arabia, because I knew what Twitter was going to look like. I just wanted to see the fire. So this is NXT, and it's not going to get as big a reaction as that. But Dolph Ziggler being the person to unseat Bron Breakker was not on my 2022 bingo card. I will be perfectly honest. And this main event, I will be perfectly honest, was very good. This was a very, very solid main event. As I pull up my notes here, just in case I don't miss anything, this main event, it was good triple threat stuff. You had your usual, like Dolph Ziggler rolls out of the ring, tries to get Ciampa and Breakker to bait each other into fighting, rolls back in, tries to, to fight both of them and that sort of thing. And it would break down, and we didn't get a whole lot of 2-on-1 stuff. Like there was, Ciampa didn't want to team with Bron Breakker to take out Dolph Ziggler. He was angry. He wanted his title back, the whole deal. As we went through this match, Bron Breakker locked in their Steiner recliner on Ciampa while Dolph Ziggler had him in a sleeper hold. I thought that was pretty cool.
That was a cool spot.
And then Robert Roode came down to ringside and broke up the pin. He pulled the referee out of the ring when Bron Breakker had hit Dolph Ziggler with the press power slam. And then immediately afterwards, Tommaso Ciampa went for his running knee on Bron Breakker, and Roode pulled Bron Breakker out of the ring, almost revealing his low Bron Breakker butt. And then Dolph Ziggler hit him with a big super kick and got the win. I thought the near fall, I forget which near fall it was. I think it was just when Dolph Ziggler had hit the zigzag on Champ. I was like, oh my God, he's going to win. At the time, not actually thinking he was going to win. You know what I mean? I was just like, there's no way Dolph's going to win this match. And so the near fall like really sucked me in. And then like 30 seconds later, he actually won. And let me tell you, this might be the first time this has happened in NXT. Certainly the first time since NXT 2.0, where I actually got like, it elicited a reaction from me, because I could not help but watch that. And I got and I shouted, just what? Because I still can't believe this. I'll be perfectly honest. It has not fully set in on me yet that Dolph Ziggler is NXT champion in 2022.
I think we're living in a fever pitch dream. Like I think it needs some settling in to realize, but I totally agree with you. I thought that this was a very good main event. I thought Bron Breakker looked great during this main event. Like his spear is just one of the best spears I've seen in wrestling in a long time. Like he looks like he is, especially with Ziggler selling, he looks like he breaks the person in half with spears. I like the Ciampa near fall when he hit the Widow's Bell into the fairy tale ending on on Breakker because that's how he beat him in the first matchup together. So there was a lot of great near falls in this matchup, a lot of back and forth action. I like the fact that there was a lot of sequences where all three men were in the ring, because WWE triple threats are usually, you know, 2 in, 1 out a lot. But this match had a lot of different sequences, like Ciampa doing his running clotheslines, which is one of my favorite spots of his, like just doing the nonstop clotheslines. Those are great. And yeah, it was just, everyone was highlighted very well. I like Rude getting involved because it protects both guys, but the booking hitting into this made it a possibility that Dolph was going to win, because there was no reason for him to take the pinfall last week to Ciampa except for setting up this matchup. And there was 100% no reason for him to take the pinfall on Monday Night Raw in the rematch. So both guys had beaten him. He had really only got one win over Ciampa in this entire angle. So he needed this win to kind of put some heat on him heading into Stand and Deliver. And I think that you're going to have more interest in the main event with Ziggler as the champion against whoever's going to be the challenger here.
I mean, it's certainly, I wasn't expecting it. So, I mean, I guess there's something to that, but I don't know. I don't know where they go from here, because I'd kind of been mapping out Bron Breakker's next few steps after this. I kind of had an idea of what we might see at Stand and Deliver. Now that's all completely gone out the window. So now I'm trying to figure out what is next for Dolph Ziggler as NXT champion. Maybe he'll just be a transitional champion. Maybe he'll have like a short little 3-4 week run here and then lose it to Walter at Stand and Deliver, which I'm not opposed to. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I mean, Dolph Ziggler bumping for Walter does sound like a very good time. Like him getting chopped.
Yeah.
Yeah, sign me up for that. I will tune in. But otherwise, I mean, I still don't know what's next for Bron Breakker, because I think he's still way too inexperienced to be called up, you know, because
Agreed.
Again, if this is supposed to be developmental, work on developing the people, you know, like, yeah, he's really good and has an unbelievable amount of potential, but I don't necessarily think that I would be putting him on Raw or SmackDown just yet. You know, God, he's only had like what, 24 matches or something like that to this point. Like, yeah, let's put him in an actual developmental setting for like a year at least before he's able to go on, you know, on national television on Raw. But it's WWE. They've put a lot less experienced people on TV a lot faster than that. So I don't know if he's getting a main roster call up, but as soon as he showed his face on Raw, I'm like, oh, Vince isn't gonna let him go.
And you saw many people say the same thing. I know I saw Sean during Raw say like Vince took one look at Bron Breakker and he wouldn't be surprised if we don't see him on NXT 2.0 for long. And then the very next night he loses the championship. So this would give them an opportunity to make a clean break. Don't do the rematch. Just send him up to the main roster. He's already doing house shows on the main roster. He's appeared on Monday Night Raw this week, and he has that it factor. He might not be experienced. He might be green in the ring. His timing can be a little bit off sometimes, but as far as like it factor and star, like he looks it. Like if there was an equivalent to what Jade Cargill is for AEW, when she comes on the screen, she's a superstar. She's not that experienced yet, but you know she's going to be their kind of their first ever megastar. For WWE, they don't have a lot of young guys that have that instant star power. Like there are guys that are great workers, like a Carmello Hayes. There's guys that are confident on the mic, like a Grayson Waller, but you don't have that star making factor, that aura to them. And Bron Breakker does. And you can see that Vince McMahon probably sees that in him and it's probably making plans for him to come to the main roster. But I would like him to be on NXT 2.0 a little bit longer. I would like this to be, you know, him regaining the title at Stand and Deliver in front of a huge crowd in Dallas, Texas. And then let him hold the title until the summer, till SummerSlam weekend, drop the title to Gunther, and then go up to the main roster. I'd rather that than him get rushed and probably ruined.
Yeah, because I mean, the benefit of NXT, even in its current state, is that you can surround a guy like Bron Breakker with veterans. You know,
Yes.
there are still enough veterans where you can put him in the ring with Santos Escobar, you can put him in the ring with Tommaso Ciampa, you can put him in the ring with, I guess, Dolph Ziggler or Robert Roode or whoever it might be. There's still a bunch of other people he hasn't gone one-on-one with, like a Pete Dunne, Cameron Grimes, whoever. On the main roster, there are still those people, but I don't know if the environment is going to be as conducive to like his development as it would
Yes.
be here, where it's like he's the star of the show. He's supposed to, be protected. They're going to be focusing on making him look like the biggest star as possible. On the main roster, they don't do that with anybody. So I don't have any faith that they're going to do that with him. I don't have any faith that he's not going to be wrestling like, I don't know, The Miz or something. He's going to be facing like Almost, and it's going to be like, whoa, he's the big guy is facing the really tall guy, and it's going to be a terrible match. I don't know. I'm not jazzed about the idea of him going to the main roster, but I don't know what to make of the whole situation now. All of what I thought was happening is gone. Everything that I thought was logical is gone. Logic. Mandy Rose and Dolph Ziggler are the two champions in NXT. What has happened? What has happened to all of this?
You got to appreciate, the people that were rooting for Dolph and Mandy back before WrestleMania 36, people that didn't want to see Mandy with Otis. They're fulfilled now because now they are the king and queen of NXT. They're the king and queen of Tuesday nights. I'm very happy for Dolph Ziggler because this is something that not a lot of us saw from him in the near future. We kind of saw Dolph. They've kind of programmed in our head for so long that Dolph Ziggler is a mid-carder, despite him being a two-time world heavyweight champion, a Money in the Bank winner. He's won every single title on the main roster besides the WWE and Universal Championships. They've kind of implanted in our head, he's a mid-carder. He's a tag team specialist. He's this, he's that. And now they've kind of turned that on his head and put him on Tuesday nights where he does feel like more of a star. He does feel like a guy that can be an anchor type of heel and put someone over and put them in the right position. And for Bron Breakker, he's already completed step one of his main roster call-up because we know all NXT call-ups have to feud with Dolph Ziggler, and he's getting it done on NXT. So, hey, he's got 1 foot forward above all other call-ups before him.
I hadn't considered that. I'll be perfectly honest. This is just them getting Bron Breakker's first main roster rivalry out of the way. I like that. Well, we'll get into some of your Ultra Chats, see what you guys think about Dolph Ziggler, or as our Ultra Chat doc reads, Zolf Diggler is NXT champion. Thanks, Rob. Always. So, of course, if you want your Ultra Chats read out on stream, make sure that you send them into WrestleTalk.com/support, and we will read out all of them that are $5 or above before the end of the show. Blind Roar has donated $5 to say, Valid Mabadi Pooty here, throwing in some love for my good brother SP3. I actually don't really hate the idea of Ziggler being NXT champion. It's an odd wrinkle, and honestly don't know what else they could have done to build up the main event of Stand and Deliver. Yeah, I also want to say, I don't hate this. I don't hate Dolph Ziggler being NXT champion. I'm just like, what world are we living in? It's not Goldberg winning the Universal title where I'm just like, well, this is a train wreck. I'm just like, well, this is a very interesting decision. I would like to know how you came to this conclusion, which is a big difference to me.
Yeah, it's more of like the shock that you need to kind of absorb it in and, see the other possibilities where this story can go. I really think that for most of us that watch NXT, we just had our brain kind of like Bron Breakker is going to be the NXT champion going into Stand and Deliver. He's probably going to verse Dolph Ziggler and beat him and move on. And we can think about other challengers for him. And now they threw this wrinkle in, which is kind of exciting, honestly. And it's a excitement that's very strange for NXT 2.0 right now.
Yeah, NXT 2.0 and excitement don't usually go hand in hand. Zoe Sung has donated $5 to say, Tempest, we're eating good right now. Ziggles is the NXT champion over their golden child. The social scrolling was divine. Gremlin noise. Dolph Ziggler, the Showmaker Pokemon. I don't do a very good Pokemon. Dolph Ziggler, the Showmaker Pokemon. This Pokemon is here to show the world. NXT is ECW WWE 2.0. Thank you, Zoe. I always appreciate your Pokedex entries. And Zoe is back with another Ultra Chat to say, my new favorite up-and-coming star is Ziggler. I hope Zack Ryder gets a push soon, too. 2011 is going to be a great year for WWE. Alex Riley might defeat John Cena. Did you hear Tyler Black left Ring of Honor?
We really feel like we're in a time machine at this point. Like we feel
Yeah.
like, CM Punk is stagnant. We don't know what's gonna happen to him. His contract's about to expire. We don't know what's going on with him. John Cena's been beating R-Truth and Miz and John Morrison all year. So yeah, it's a strange time that we live in. The Rock just came back. Triple H and Undertaker are going to WrestleMania. So it's crazy the world we live in. And yeah, what year is it again?
Yeah, I have never gotten around to it just because I'm lazy and I don't have the energy these days. But I do plan one day to make like a video about WWE's calendar year of 2011 because I fully believe that was the year that they completely lost the plot. That like they lost their goddamn minds.
I think
You know,
so.
they had bad years before that. Do not get me wrong. The guest host thing on Raw was not good television. 2011, if you like, I at one point wrote a list of like every like cracked out thing they did in 2011, and that list that was the year they drafted John Cena twice on the
Yes.
same show. It
Yes.
was the year they had a 40-man rumble, you
But
know.
to also be fair, to be the devil's avocado, as my boy Sat would say,
Uh-huh.
the highs of 2011 are
Oh,
unreal. Like the Rock's return, the Undertaker, Triple H, returns, both of their returns before WrestleMania, just staring at the WrestleMania sign, Summer of Punk with the pipe bomb and Money in the Bank, and those stuff was great. It's just, yeah, the lows are beyond low, and probably some of the biggest lows that they've had in the past 2 decades.
Oh, it's nuts. Well, if you want to hear more about us talking about 2011, make sure you watch for that video that I might make one day. Otherwise, we will get into the rest of this episode of NXT. We will read out the rest of your Ultra Chats before the end of the show. So if you want to hear those read out on the show, make sure you send them into WrestleTalk.com/support, and we will read out all of your Ultra Chats that are $5 or above before the end of the show. Until then, we got this show kicked off with another match in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic as Dakota Kai and Wendy Choo took on Raquel Gonzalez and Cora Jade. So Toxic Attraction attacked. I can never say Toxic Attraction. There's too many K sounds in that, like X's and C's and all that nonsense. They attacked Raquel Gonzalez's knee with like a pipe or something, more or less right in front of the referee, but he was just like, whoop, let me turn my back to that real quick. I hate when they do that. But Raquel was fighting on one knee for basically the rest of the match. Hot tagged in, got some offense, and was like, they had a good match. I thought this was a
Yeah.
good open match. And Dakota Kai started hearing voices in her head and stuff and was like, I can't do it. I don't know what that is about. That doesn't fly with me. I don't like that. But she like talked herself out of hitting a big boot on Raquel and then like did it anyway and then just tagged in Wendy Choo and she hit her finish and then they won. So I don't know what this whole Dakota Kai thing is, but if you take that bit out and you take out the incompetent referee, this was a really fun opening match.
Yeah, I liked a lot of this matchup. There was bits of it that, yeah, just came off very either cringe or just confusing, like that Dakota Kai spot. I understand that's their new character, but it hasn't been really fully explained, like at all since her return. Like we had those vignettes with her in a graveyard, and then ever since she returned and hit Raquel with the shovel, she's been kind of this weird Randy Orton meets R-Truth with Little Jimmy kind of mixed character, and it just comes off like you don't have any idea what you're doing with Dakota Kai, honestly, at the end of the
Yeah.
day. And also the Wendy Choo stuff I enjoy, but I don't need the commentary doubling down on the joke by whispering during the. It was just like this was a good joke until we started whispering. So like
Yeah.
that part, it was like cringe, but the work itself, these four ladies worked really well with each other. I like Toxic Attraction getting involved because it protects Raquel Gonzalez. Cora Jade has to kind of try to overcome the odds, and then she doesn't even take the finish, so it protects her with where it looks like they're going for a stand and deliver as well. So I like this move because Wendy Choo and Dakota Kai was kind of the dark horse of this. I think a lot of people had pegged Shirai and Ray versus Jade and Gonzalez, but Wendy Choo and Dakota Kai, as soon as they got into this whole tournament, I was like, they're kind of the dark horse here, because you could see them either just winning once and then losing in this round, or they can make it to the finals. So I'm glad that they did something with them, especially for Dakota, who once again with this whole character kind of seems lost.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, at the very least, her, I guess, I don't know if I could say a character arc. That sounds a little bit too generous. But her character right now, in as regards to this tournament, is that she's trying to make a third time the charm with friendship work, basically. So I like that they're going to the final. I like that there's something there before Dakota Kai will, of course, eventually turn on Wendy Choo, possibly after the final match itself. But I don't know. I do still like that Raquel and Cora was like, we got to do all this stamina training. There's so many matches. I think they probably wrestled a combined like 12 minutes across their two tournament matches. It's just humorous to me. It's fun. It's whatever. That's just pro wrestling. So I don't know. This was a good way to open up the show. I didn't have too much to complain about here. Tommaso Ciampa cut a promo backstage saying that this was more important than the NXT title. He said that the title was his life, but going in to stand and deliver as champion means he's the best, and there's never been a bigger gap between who's number one and who's number two, and Bron Breakker and Dolph Ziggler can argue about who is 2A and 2B. This is a good promo. There's not much to it. It's a Tommaso Ciampa backstage promo. He threw a chair afterwards. He does that.
Sitting in the chair like he's AC Slater in the 1990s. I loved it every time, but he had really good intensity here. Out of the 3 promos of the main event guys, he had the best one.
I thought so. And I like that Ciampa's promos are always set in the same places.
Yeah.
I like because sometimes NXT will do this, sometimes they won't, where they'll have like unique presentations of backstage promos, whether it was like, hey, bringing up Hit Row, but Hit Row would do theirs in the studio, and I thought that was really cool. Ciampa and at the time, Ciampa and Thatcher would do theirs in front of this garage door. It sets them apart, and I like that. They never do this sort of thing on the main roster, and I think it really helps with NXT's presentation. The Creed brothers were attacked in the parking lot. We never found out who it was, but the rest of the show was kind of spent like, oh, you are the one who attacked the Creeds. No, it was you. So we'll kind of get into that as we go on. And then we got Tiffany Stratton versus Fallon Henley. Where are they getting these names? Like at this point, it has to be a rip. It has to be. They're absolutely putting like wrestling name generator.
Yes.
And just doing it. Like, you are not going to convince me otherwise. Now, this was a really short match. Stratton kind of got the early portion of this 2-minute match, and then Fallon Henley. I can't deal with this name. Fallon Henley got more offense than you would expect. Actually hit like a backbreaker and a clothesline, an elbow in the corner. I was like, oh, wow, it was a good little showing for Fallon Henley. And then Saray hit a drop kick behind the ref's back. I don't know how these referees are always distracted when there's nothing to be distracted about. And then Fallon Henley managed to beat Tiffany Stratton. Don't know why I'm supposed to care about Tiffany Stratton.
She's lost a lot since her debut, and they kind of gave her the vignette treatment, so you would think that they were going to do something with her, and she still has the feud with Saray going, but it really feels like they've kind of lost the direction on where they were going with her. As far as Fallon Henley, I legit thought for 50% of this match that this was Tatum Paxley, because I feel like the names and their whole like gear kind of look all the same, so it was just like you could have matched this out and I wouldn't have known the difference at all. It wasn't until Brooks and Jensen came out and I was like, oh, that's the bartender that's been trying to help them all these weeks. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
I didn't know that. I was like, why is she hanging out with these two? I couldn't figure it out. Why is the bartender for NXT wrestling? What? Oh my lord.
I was so confused. Like, but I put two and two together. I was like, yeah, that was the bartender that talked to them, and the one that talked to them, I believe, like a week ago or something like that. So I was like, okay, so she's a wrestler now. She went from bartend, or she's still probably in school, so she has to,
Yeah.
wrestle part time and bartend part time and go to school. So she's a hard. I mean, if that's her character, I would go
You got
for it because
yeah, you gotta respect the grind.
exactly like that.
You know?
That's gonna get the fans on her side because she's a hard worker. But I
Mhm.
don't, that's a little too creative for NXT. She might as just well be, daddy's little girl like Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah. Oh gosh, she's got like stock Seinfeld music. She won. It was like bang, bop, down, wop, 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 wop. Like it was. I was like, what is this music? Like I know all the NXT music kind of sucks at this point, but like this was something else. Regardless, we move on from all this nonsense. Carmello Hayes and Trick Williams were in the barbershop again. I like these segments. I think they're really fun. And we basically just found out that there's going to be 4 challengers to the NXT title or the NXT North American title in their ladder match, and they're all going to start qualifying next week. It was a good presentation, but nothing that we didn't really already know. I guess we found out there'll be qualifying matches, and hey, I like those. That's cool.
Yeah, and they kind of are already setting up some things. If you listen to the dialogue that they said, like Trick Williams doesn't like ladders, so
Yeah,
there's going to be a spot where he has to climb the ladder and
right.
he's going to get scared and stuff like that. But as far as like looking at the North American picture and looking at the people on this show, I had it in my head as soon as this promo was done. And once again, I have to credit NXT for the different type of looks of these promos. Like I like Mello basically being LeBron James with the shop and with the cut whiz. That's very cool, and it makes him different from everybody else. But as far as like who I think is going to be in this ladder match, I would think it's going to be Dunn, Grimes, Waller, and Knight. That would be my picks. But as far as like the qualifying match is very interesting. The first one they're presenting with Grimes and Escobar, that can really go
Mm.
either way. But what do you think? Who do you think is going to be in this match?
I don't know. I think like Tony D'Angelo might be one of them or something because he hasn't really gotten his North American title shot yet. But really, like anyone from that whole crew, I think would be a good shout. I think Cameron Grimes probably isn't finished with him yet. I think Pete Dunne's probably not finished with him yet. So that would probably be my guess for like 3 of them. And then whoever you want to fill that last spot with would work out. Grayson Waller would probably be a pretty solid shout. Maybe you do a thing and you actually put Trick Williams in a match like this. I don't know. That probably would be a little bit advanced for him. I've seen some of his singles matches, but I don't know. I don't think you could go wrong just putting like more experienced guys in this match. I think you could do it right.
Come on, you want to see him do the kick off the first rung of the ladder, like him just do
Oh,
his
yeah.
regular, just jumps, does a 1 foot jump and just kicks
Yeah.
somebody. That's gonna be his high spot in there.
I love all the old spots from like the 90s ladder matches where someone does like a reverse DDT off the second run of the ladder and everyone's like, whoa! And I was like, is that really any different from a normal reverse DDT? But
No.
neither here nor there. We got another edition of Lashing Out with Lash Legend. She introduced Nikita Lyons to the show, and Lash asked if Lyons' mom was a groupie for everyone or just her dad. And I don't know about you, those are fighting words to me. She was a lot calmer than I would have been. But Lyons said that her mom was a free spirit. Lash said that Lyons knows why she's trending, and she's like doing this the whole time. And then she stops doing this, standing there, and then Nikita Lyons is like, get your finger out of my face. I was like, you could tell this was scripted.
Yeah.
It was scripted. I was like, oh, get your finger out of my face after she's already whatever. And and she Lyons. The whole storyline is that she's got a large posterior.
Yes.
She has assets. And that they're leaning into it because Lash Legend is just like, oh, what are your butt implants going to do about it? And then Nikita Lyons like, oh, I'm all natural.
Besides my spray tan and my finger, my nails, like what?
Yeah, it's like what? What? I don't know. I don't know what this Nikita Lyons character is. I feel like every week we get like 3 different weird character layers to this, and none of them are like ever addressed at all.
I am enjoying the social media discourse as far as Nikita Lyons with the different names they come up for like Yam Yam Bigelow or Hunter Hips Hemsley. I came up with various tag team names for her and Lash Legend, and my favorite one is Thigh Velocity, or Thigh Energy. That's another good one. So
I like that.
so they're I want to see a tag team more than I want to see them actually have a match, because I feel like Lash Legend is probably better off in a tag team of some sorts more than a singles match with someone who is not very experienced herself. So I'm not looking forward to this matchup, but yeah, this was very scripted and came off very unnatural and forced overall. So not the best presentation for Nikita Lyons 3 weeks in.
That's NXT 2.0 for you. We had Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen celebrating with Fallon Henley, and they accused Legado del Fantasma of being the ones to attack the Creed brothers in the parking lot. And Legado del Fantasma said it was them. And Electro Lopez said that Brooks Jensen is just mad because he can't get laid. And he's like, "No, I'm working on it." This poor guy. Poor guy. I mean, what can you say? This poor fellow. He probably signed with WWE. He's like, "They're gonna give you this super awesome character. I'm gonna be like the next Steve Austin. I'm gonna be the next Rock. I'm gonna be main event of WrestleMania." A virgin? What is this character? What?
At the very least, they could have made him B to the third or B squared or something like that. They could have made him something off of his dad, but no, they decided he's going to be the country bunkin virgin. That's his character. That's what we're going with. I did like Briggs and Jensen questioning Legado del Fantasma, because parking lot attacks are kind of their thing, and that's how they were created. And I just want to wonder why NXT hasn't invested more money in security for their parking lots, because it seems to be the scene of the crime every single time.
Well, see, the problem was William Regal was having a security problem, and he brought in Samoa Joe, and then they forgot about that for like after 3 weeks. He was like, "Oh, he's gonna regain order," and they just never did it.
There was pull apart brawls on every show after he got instituted as this like enforcer. So it was like very clear that they just brought him back because they wanted him to wrestle again, and it wasn't about restoring order in NXT, which has still not been restored to this day.
No, it still hasn't. It still hasn't been restored. But next we got the last man standing match between LA Knight and Grayson Waller. Now there were a lot of spots in this match. Obviously, I mean it's a last man standing match, so you know the typical formula: big move, wait, big move, wait. That's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah.
But LA Knight clotheslined Grayson Waller during his entrance. He beat him up around ringside for a little while. They got in the ring. I really like that LA Knight has kind of turned himself into a really good babyface. You know, the fans are like chanting, "Yeah," whenever he does like a stomp or something like that. It's good crowd interaction. It's like good organic babyface interaction, and I really like that. I think he's a lot better here as a babyface than he was as a heel, and I thought he was a pretty good heel too. You know, because it's not often that you say that about WWE guys. You know, especially guys who can talk. You know, but this match kept going. Waller cut him off and hit his rolling stunner. I have an issue with this move now. It's one thing to just do the move. It's fine. That's fine. You get thrown to the outside, you're recovering or whatever, and then you need a quick like bam back in the ring, hit a move. There you go. I don't like the idea that Grayson Waller now leaves the ring to roll back in the ring to hit the stunner. Just hit the stunner. The roll through the ropes does not add anything to the impact of the stunner. And I saw that and I went, wait a minute. That doesn't make any sense. But we continue. Knight hit a really scary looking superplex on Waller, but he beat the count. Waller used a trash can lid. Knight threw Waller off of the crow's nest, and then Sanga the Thunder carried him out afterwards. Grace, there's a lot to this match. This was like the most notes I've taken for a match, because it was like, then this thing happened, then this thing happened, then this thing happened. LA Knight hit Sanga the Thunder with a chair, handcuffed him around the post, pretty much taking him out, more or less, for the end of the match.
Yeah.
And then he put the big garbage can over Grayson Waller's head and then just beat him to death with the chair. Wasn't enough, though. Grayson Waller was handed like a wrench or something. I don't know. It was an object of some sort.
It was like a slapjack.
Yeah, it could have been a slapjack. You never know. And he hit LA Knight with it, laid him out on the announce table, and then hit a big elbow drop and like passed the ball between his legs as he was doing it. That was pretty baller. I'm not gonna lie. I like that. You know, that was pretty cool for something where there's so little moments of like, hey, that's pretty cool. You know, like during a match. I felt like this was one of them. I saw that. I was like, hell yeah, Grayson Waller. Look at me cheering for Grayson Waller for a second. But that was the finish. And Grayson Waller got the win. And this felt like the blow-off match because they've been feuding for like ever. They've been feuding since Halloween Havoc.
That seems way too long for these two guys to be feuding, but yeah, it came to a really good blow-off match and a really good last man standing match. This is the best match that these two guys have produced against each other. And like you said, there was a lot of great spots, like, you know, and I did agree with you with that rolling cutter. It was the second one that he tried, because it looked like he just went to the outside to like get a weapon, but no, he comes back and does the rolling cutter. And I'm just like, what was the reason for all of that? You could have just done the cutter or stunner in the ring. Like, what are you doing? And then LA Knight reversed that and threw him to the ringside table. So I like that spot as well. Yeah, they worked very well with each other. I do agree with you. LA Knight is just such a much better baby face to me than he is a heel, because he has that kind of that delivery that kind of gets the crowd behind him. They want to repeat what he's saying with the yes and his catchphrases and all of that. And he was working very well as a baby face. Kind of, he has that kind of like stone cold, like just punching, brawling through the crowd type of guy that can kind of get that across. And Grayson Waller, that elbow drop. You know, I saw my boy Cam from PW Tours said on social media, the Hardaway, because that was the Tim Hardaway crossover as he did that.
Yeah.
Did the elbow drop. That was very impressive. And this is the most impressed I've been with Grayson Waller. And I like the finish as well, with him using Sanka's back to get back on his feet. That was a nice little heel touch to the finish to give him like just a little bit more heat in this win. So I like all of this. And that's, like I said, I think that I want to see the Hardaway off a ladder. So that's why I'm saying Grayson Waller needs to be in the North American ladder match.
Oh, SP3, I'm so glad to have you on this show. for all the weeks for Grayson Waller to bring out the Hardaway, what better week than the 1 week where I will actually have a basketball person to talk to about it? Not a single other person on this staff would have any idea about anything else going on here. But so I don't know what's going to happen next. I would like these two guys to like go their separate ways. I think they've been feuding long enough. Grayson Waller won the last match, but I guess that's okay. You know, you can have the heel win and just have them go their separate ways. They did enough beat down in this match that LA Knight got enough revenge. I think that's fine. This was a fun last man standing match. It had good moments. Tony D'Angelo ate at his cousin Mikey's restaurant. He talked about being Italian or something. And then we got another
the new dawn of the NXT. Remember that. I'm still with the belief that he's talking about Tommaso Ciampa. Because, you know, when we did this 2 weeks ago, I thought the cameraman was him and not Robert Roode. So I'm still holding out hope. Tommaso Ciampa's kind of he's kind of free for stand and deliver, and Tony D'Angelo, I think him and these two would have a good exchange and good build up to the pay-per-view. I don't know about the match because Tony D matches, he's still a little green. So, but the build up, that's what I want to see.
Fair enough. And I don't think you're wrong. I think that'd be fun. We had the Bron Breakker backstage promo where he said that this is the last roadblock before stand and deliver. And he just said, all I think about is the NXT Championship, and this is the last roadblock, and I'm going to run through it. Big Bron Breakker. He didn't do that, but we've already kind of talked about it. And in fact, hang on, where did I put that thing? I had one thing over here, because I realized that now that he's lost, Bron Breakker might go through some changes. And instead of I had no idea I had this. Instead of being Bron Breakker the Magical Warrior, he might turn into Bron Breakker the Dark Magical Warrior.
There
I
you
didn't know
go.
this was a thing. I was just like kind of cleaning up things last night, and I was looking through a few things, and I was like, oh, I didn't know there were two of these. So I was like, all right, well, there's a 5-second bit for tomorrow's show.
You know, you just gave Shawn Michaels the idea for Bron Breakker's entrance at Stand and Deliver now, right? We're going to see him come up. It's going to be like Triple H at WrestleMania. What was it? WrestleMania 22 when he first did the Conan the Barbarian, but he's going to be the Dark Magical Warrior.
Yeah, the Dark Magical Warrior. Absolutely. So we got the next match in the second semifinal match in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Cup as Io Shirai and Kaylee Ray took on Kacy Catanzaro and Kayden Carter. This was more just like a straight match. This was one of the matches on the show that didn't have any interference. It was just kind of a back and forth match. There was an absolutely bonkers spot in this match where they decided to do a Tower of Doom Poison Rana. I beg your pardon, what? I mean, that's pretty bold. I mean, sure, go for it. I don't know that I'd be taking that move in front of a crowd of like 200 people, but that's just me. I don't know. But this match was very good. They hit some tag team offense before Io Shirai tagged in and grappled with Kacy. Kacy and Kayden hit dives before the break. Kacy then hit Kaylee Ray with the Tower of Doom Poison Rana, and I thought Kaylee Ray was dead. I'll be perfectly honest. Io Shirai broke up that pin, and then Kaylee Ray just hit her KLR bomb, and Io Shirai hit the moonsault for the win. It was like basically a one-spot match, but it was a hell of a spot, so I really didn't have anything to complain about here either.
Yeah, the highlight of the night was that I called it a doomsday for Poison Rana because that was I was just like insane. I did not expect that at all. Kacy and Kayden are a very cool team to me. I feel like I want to see them do more. I feel like I've been saying this since all the way back when I was doing Wrestling Daily. Like we want more from this team. Every time they have these little highlights. They work very well with each other. The crowd loves them in the CWC. It's unfortunate that they have this all-star team in Shirai and Ray, and it seems like the best move for them is to have them win this tournament to go on to verse Toxic Attraction at Stand and Deliver. So I'm all for them taking the win here. But Kacy and Kayden need to become NXT Women's Tag Team Champions in the next year. Please, like, don't let all these other people that they are pushing in this new rebrand get in the way of these two girls that have kind of been working their butts off and been the only real tag team in this division. They were a tag team before Toxic Attraction was a thing, yet all these other teams have kind of passed them by. I want more for these two girls because they always seem to find a way to stand out in their own way.
Well, there's just so many tag teams in this division. I'm sure eventually they'll fight through the rest of them and make their way back to the top. And speaking of, we got a backstage segment with Indy Hartwell and Persia Parada where they broke up and now there's one less tag team. Whoa! God, yeah. I don't know. Indy Hartwell and Persia Parada were in their locker room. And Persia Parada walked up with Duke Hudson, and they had an argument about whose fault it was that they lost. And Persia Parada said that she was carrying the tag team, which, to be fair, she was for a decent period of time there. Like, Dexter Lumis got a boo-boo on his hand, and Indy Hartwell could not function for like 2 months. And Persia Parada was like doing she was doing handicap matches and winning, and she was like winning tag matches all on her own. So like I don't feel that much sympathy for Indy Hartwell, I'll be perfectly honest. But Persia Parada and Indy, they yell at each other, and Indy said, shut up, Duke Hudson. Don't talk to Duke Hudson like that. And they're gonna have a match, and they're gonna see who's actually controlling or carrying the team. And then she walked off, and Persia Parada just started eating Duke Hudson's face. And Wade had a very questionable line. He said something along the lines of like, I don't know who is luckier between Duke Hudson and Persia Parada right now. And I was like, I'm sorry? I mean, to each your own. As a bisexual man myself, I mean, if whatever floats your boat, but okay, Wade. If you got a crush on Duke Hudson, I won't blame you. I mean, a little odd for commentary, personally, but
I mean, Wade does have a little bit of love for Duke Hudson. You know, he
Mhm.
uses the Winds of Change finisher, so
Yeah.
that's kind of his boy. That's kind of his protege. So I can understand his excitement and not knowing who he wanted to be in that situation. But yeah, this whole love triangle, it just seems very goofy, and it's just like,
Yeah.
really, you just put these two girls together just to eventually do this and break them up. And you know, it's not, you know, the match next week, it's not the blow off. The blow off is probably going to be a mixed tag team matchup with Duke Hudson and Persia versus
Oh,
Indy Hartwell and Dexter Loomis. That's how they're going to blow this off, and not even at Stand and Deliver. It's going to be on an episode of NXT.
that does not tickle my fancy. I'll be perfectly honest. I
No.
do want to say very quickly though, before I forget, because again, my brain is the only one that would ever remember garbage like this. But this Wade Barrett moment really reminded me of there's a clip on the 2009 SmackDown DVD. It was like the 10-year anniversary SmackDown where they recap like the 100 best SmackDown moments. And one of them was like that weird Halloween party in 2002 where Eric Bischoff was dressed as Vince McMahon and then
Yes.
kissed Stephanie McMahon in her office. And it was like really odd, and they'd never put that on TV nowadays. But Todd Grisham is like recapping this, and he was like, "Yeah, man. I mean, all those dreams were lived out that day. All of us that just wanted to sit there and make out with Eric Bischoff." And I was just like, "All right, Todd, whatever you say, pal." This is a really strange time to be in WWE.
It's always a strange time in WWE. And I also
Yeah.
wanted to mention Wade Barrett. I'm just gonna tell you, maybe you shouldn't mention that the last time WrestleMania was in Dallas that you took a Stone Cold Stunner, because WWE are selling this whole Stone Cold return at WrestleMania 38. Like, he hasn't done anything in 19 years. Like, well, I'm listening to his promo, I'm listening to how they're promoting this, and I'm like, I appreciate how hard they're trying to not say this is a match, but I also don't appreciate how they want us to forget that we have seen Stone Cold at WrestleMania 21, WrestleMania 23, WrestleMania 27, WrestleMania 30, WrestleMania 32. Like, we have seen him a lot at WrestleMania. Stop acting like this is the first time in 19 years.
Don't forget 25, went in the Hall of Fame.
Exactly. Another one in Texas. Like, what?
It was kind of a routine for a while. Like, even if he was retired, he kind of had to put Steve Austin on the show because he's, Steve Austin. So, yeah, I don't know. It's not a match, but regardless, I want Steve Austin to be safe. So whatever's gonna
Yeah.
keep him healthiest is best with me. So I don't know where this happened. I had to kind of insert this into my notes, but someplace during the show, MSK accused Imperium of attacking the Creeds, and the Imperium was just like, "Oh, but you were the ones that attacked them." And you know what? I think Imperium's right. I think MSK did it because they're the only ones that benefited from this situation. Because MSK was like, "Well, we'll take the Creed brothers' spots in this match." I don't know how you could just do that, but they did it. And so we got this next match of MSK versus Imperium for the NXT Tag Team Championships. This really wasn't much of anything. It went like 7 minutes, and it was a fine 7 minutes, but they only went 7 minutes, and then the Creed brothers ran in for the DQ. It's like, I don't know. It's not like that bad in the context of just if it's in a vacuum, it's just like, okay, as a segment, it wasn't that bad. Of course, DQ finishes and everything are like not great, but I'd rather have the DQ finish happen after 7 minutes than after 20 and have me really feel like I'm wasting my time. But at the same time, given what was advertised for this show, that being Imperium versus the Creed brothers for the NXT tag titles, this is very much not that. And is very much worse than what I was hoping to get from that. So I have to give that a massive thumbs down for that reason alone. But I am confident that we will get like probably a three-way tag match with these three, probably at Stand and Deliver, and that match will be very fun. So if we had to get through this to get to that, it doesn't matter that much.
Yeah, and I do agree with you. It kind of seems like MSK is the culprits who attacked the Creed brothers, although I would be so baffled by that decision to turn MSK heel. Like I've never seen them, and I've followed them for such a long time on the independents and Impact Wrestling. I don't know how a heel MSK is going to look and feel, and especially with the other teams that you have here. Yes, the Creeds are over as baby faces, but there's your division is not screaming with baby faces that are more over than MSK. So it's kind of a strange decision here, but I feel like this was a good decision in this right here, because I think one of the things that I heard you guys talking about last week, you and Pete, was how the Creeds versus Imperium here felt kind of out of place, because it felt like we were building that to Stand and Deliver. So I kind of like them doing the bait and switch and saving the Creeds moment for Stand and Deliver, and being in there with MSK, who has given Imperium their best match back at Halloween Havoc when they won the tag team titles, and gave the Creeds their best match in the finals of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. This is like the perfect team to kind of insert in this picture and make it an even better match if there was any questions that the Creeds and Imperium styles would mesh very well in a tag team match. I feel like Stand and Deliver, this might be a show stealer right up there with the ladder match.
I would think so. I mean, a big tag team match given plenty of time with good wrestlers will probably do well, as we just saw from Revolution. And I agree. I think MSK is the kind of tag team that, in this situation where you have still a green team in the Creed brothers, and you know, they are very good, and I like the Creed brothers very much, but on a big stage in like a 15 to 20 minute match, maybe it wouldn't go so smoothly. I don't know. We haven't seen it yet. So inserting them just to be able to like switch the Creed brothers out of the ring for a little bit, I don't think that's a bad idea at all. I would like that three-way tag match very much, and I would probably expect it to be one of the show stealers as well. That would be very nice. And just to wrap things up, Harland is still stalking Draco Anthony in the gym, and Xyon Quinn makes his return for the first time in like 2 months. I haven't seen him in a while, and tells Draco Anthony not to worry about Harland and Joe Gacy getting in his head. I guess we'll get a tag team match here at some point. That's something. And then finally, A-Kid is coming to NXT, and I'm excited about that. Sort of, kind of. I like A-Kid a lot. He's a really good wrestler. He's a really good wrestle. He does a good wrestle. Jack at time was talking about him coming to NXT. Ikemen Jiro was like really excited. He was like, "Oh, he's one of the best in-ring performers in the world." And Kushida was like, "Yeah, he's good." He's like, "What? You're not impressed?" I was like, "Yeah, he's good." So we're gonna get an A-Kid Kushida match at some point. Which, I mean, yeah, if you're gonna put A-Kid in a debut match, that's a pretty good opponent. A-Kid to me, because we will wrap things up because we've reached the end of the show. I thought it was a pretty good episode of NXT, all things considered. They didn't have like really offensive backstage segments, and there were a few matches that I thought they could have really tidied up a little bit. But otherwise, this was a very good show with a main event that you should go out of your way to see, and a last man standing match you should go out of your way to see. My thing with A-Kid very quickly, he kind of has a little bit of like Sami Zayn, Kyle O'Reilly syndrome to me, where it's like he looks like a guy. And in WWE, I don't think that works to his benefit. You know what I mean? Like Kyle O'Reilly never had to try and make it on the main roster, but I was like, I swear to God, he's like, of all the people that Vince McMahon will not get, I feel like Vince McMahon will get Kyle O'Reilly the least. And I feel like A-Kid kind of like fits into that same bracket. You know, so I hope he has a long reign in NXT. I hope he doesn't leave this spot for the main roster anytime soon, because I don't really see much for him on the main roster besides running around for like the 24/7 title and stuff. So I hope that doesn't happen, and I hope we get a lot of really good matches out of him in NXT.
Yeah, and you know, starting off with him and Kushida is definitely a positive. Kushida, man, anytime I see him, I kind of get depressed because I'm like, man, I know you wanted to leave New Japan because you were sick of being a junior heavyweight, but that was much better than what you're doing right now. Like, I understand you love America, but as far as your wrestling career, they've kind of put you in this kind of place where you're just stagnant and you're just going to stay in place. But using him to have a good to great match with A-Kid is better than what he's been doing the last couple of weeks. So I'm all for that. I think he's the type of guy that can be like a North American title contender. So hopefully, yeah, I agree with you. They give him a long run in NXT, let him be in front of that American audience. The only thing that he has for him over like the Kyle O'Reillys of the world and Sami Zayn's of the world, yes, they're from Canada, but that's not really foreign to Vince. Being the first ever Spanish WWE superstar, as they call a kid, might be the benefit for him, because Vince is going to be like, oh, we gotta get to that market, we gotta get to that Spain market, and we gotta promote, we gotta push a kid very well.
I mean, let me just really real quick. Technically, very technically, Kane was born in Spain.
I know. That's why I did the quote unquote first ever Spanish WWE superstar.
We're just not going to talk about that part. We're just gonna forget about that. But that will pretty much bring NXT to a close. Again, pretty good show. NXT SP3. Goodness me. Any closing thoughts before we get into the rest of the Ultra Chats?
I thought it was a pretty good show. Anytime there's an NXT show where I can say there's two matches people have to watch, and that's the last man standing match and the main event, that's a good thing for me. That's like a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 type of show. I enjoyed this more than I usually do with NXT. It's like week to week, it varies, but this week I felt like it was a good show.
Yeah, I think that basically covers it. I think that wraps it up nicely. This is the final call for Ultra Chats. So make sure if you have any Ultra Chats that you still want to get in, make sure you get them in now. WrestleTalk.com/support. We will read out any that are $5 or above before the end of the show. And the end of the show is coming quick. So if you have anything you want to get off your chest, now's the time. Meng has donated $5 to say, who's the magical warrior now, dog? But seriously, if this can lead to Bron Breakker getting a showcase beating Dolph Ziggler for the NXT title at WrestleMania, it's good for me. That's a possibility. Maybe they defend the title at WrestleMania. I don't know.
I mean, they're running out of a lot of different options for matches because, Stone Cold is not having a match. He's being on the KO show. The Cody talks kind of change from day to day and week to week. So you need extra matches. Why not have Dolph Ziggler defend the NXT Championship against Bron Breakker? Why not?
That would, I'll be honest, that would probably rank pretty high on WrestleMania matches I'd be looking forward to right now. It might be third. Currently, it might be third behind like Edge, AJ, Becky, Bianca. Then it might be Braun and Dolph if they did that.
And bringing up your Agent of Chaos, I can't wait for Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair to get announced as the main event of night one of WrestleMania, because I'm ready for social media to go crazy about that.
I think it already has. I'm pretty sure I've seen that tweet.
I mean, they didn't. They said it was on night one of WrestleMania, but they didn't give it the official main event stamp. So that's why you have all the Becky and Bianca fans that are still like trying to promote it.
Holding out hope.
Yeah, holding out hope. Like they can push it ahead. And I'm just like, okay, we'll see.
AO1012 says Stratton is having her gimmick slowly peeled away. She looks built for Diamond Mine. Interesting. If you wanted to do a story and put Tiffany Stratton in the Diamond Mine and just like, we're gonna beat you down and build you back up as a champion, you're gonna be a fighter. That would be a fun story. I don't think they're gonna do that, but that would be fun. The daddy's girl that has to go to like the hardcore MMA gym, like hell yeah, I like that idea.
Daddy pays off Malcolm Bivens and Diamond Mine to train her. I like that. That fits the gimmick, and it helps Diamond Mine with another recruit, and it explores different storyline elements. I like it.
Yeah. The Bad One Jam Beard has donated $6.50 to say, just remember, main roster screwed up Keith Lee. They can definitely screw up Bron Breakker on the main roster. Therefore, I have no hope that main roster will treat Braun or Ciampa well on main roster. No, I will never give them the benefit of the doubt again. They messed up Bayley. They messed up Asuka. They messed up everybody. They messed up Shayna Baszler. You can mess up anybody. There are no guarantees when it comes to the main roster.
No, anyone that we have described as a safe bet for the main roster, they have ruined in record time. So yes, Bron Breakker is not safe. The fact that he's just Bron Breakker and he's not Rex Steiner also makes him not safe as well.
Yeah. AO1012 is back saying the weird thing is most matches last night looked like they'd be stand and deliver matches 2 weeks ago. Now that card is completely unknown. I don't hate it since it means more loaded TV cards. Honestly, yeah. Because I agree. I thought this card on paper looked pretty much like what I expected the Stand and Deliver card to look like, and then we just got it on TV here. But if that means we will then got another special at Stand and Deliver, and we got a special here that had the better episode of NXT and better matches than we would have gotten otherwise, that's not something I'm going to complain about.
No, because that's kind of the problem with Raw and SmackDown right now. They kind of feel stagnant heading into WrestleMania. This builds up excitement, and this show kind of gave you a picture into what they're building. We kind of see that they're doing the 3-way for the tag titles. You got the 5-way for the ladder match with North American title. Bron Breakker versus Dolph Ziggler kind of seems like that's the NXT Championship. We didn't even mention Jade attacking Mandy Rhodes in the Toxic Lounge following the attack by Toxic Attraction on Raquel Gonzalez. So it looks like we're going to get Cora's coordination at Stand and Deliver as well. The winner of the Dusty Classic versus Toxic Attraction for the women's tag team titles. So they kind of shaped out the card, and it's kind of like AEW with like 2 or 3 weeks to go before a pay-per-view, where no, they haven't announced on any of the matches, but you see what the card is going to be.
Right. Also, gotta say real quick, this one popped me. Saying how is it so hard to say Dolph is a champion, but saying Jeff Hardy was champion was fine. One is a joke. Except it's not a joke, and I can't wait for the NXT champion Jeff Hardy to debut on AEW Dynamite. Apparently not tonight because contracts and stuff. But
that would be like 3 NXT champions that have arrived in AEW in the last like 6 months. Cole, Keith Lee.
Feels like more than that.
Yeah, that's
Andrade, Malachi Black. Just let me go down that list. We'll keep going.
We got to figure out how many who has more NXT champions on their roster, WWE or AEW.
I think it might be AEW.
That's crazy. It might be. That's
They've
insane.
Got Pac. They got Pac. There's a lot.
That's insane though.
There's a lot.
They got Pac, they got Andrade, Malachi Black, Keith Lee, Adam Cole. Oh. Now Jeff Hardy.
Yeah, Jeff Hardy still is coming. Oh, I can't wait. Riot DR says, in reference to Indy and Persia, you are dating your best friend's ex. Of course she hates Duke. So many bad friends. No grizzled young vets make me sad, but those dusty matches were mostly good. Tempest, I think you would look fab in pink and black. Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't disagree with you, but considering how long it took me to get this mask, I'm not in the mood for that whole process again just yet. Mayor of Painesville, Dan. Hi, Dan. Says, hey, guys, hope you're having a big one. Fun fact, during the Creed brothers attack, one of the security guards was independent wrestler and former, since the pandemic, longtime WXW star Alexander James. He seems to go by AJ Winkler now. Is he signed? You need a new name, sir. AJ Winkler? Ooh, that's I don't like that name.
No. That says like small time lawyer more than wrestler.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that Henry Winkler's son or something like that? I don't know. But of course, whenever Dan chats in, it's got to be about WXW in some form. And then we've got a one, I believe, that's missed from Raw from Misha Sumra saying, the thing about Raw and indeed all WWE programming is that it's being written for and slashed by one guy, Vince. Compare it to other story writing processes. One that's more collaborative in nature, like, say, Legend of Vox Machina. Haha, this was intended for Pete. And you see the quality gap. You can always tell when some of these are designed for one specific host. If it's about Yu-Gi-Oh!, it's probably about me. If it's about Vox Machina, it's probably about Pete.
I'll get the
Star Trek or something, probably about Ollie.
I'll start getting the basketball references. There you go. There you go. Give me the basketball references and like Euphoria and Power references. I'm here all day. You
got a very good base here. We're starting with a good foundation.
Exactly. And then the other super chat about Duke Hudson, I was like, man, they're trying so hard to be Nate, Kacy, and Maddie, but it's not coming across because Duke is not as much of a heel as Nate Jacobs.
No one is. And you know what? I don't know that I want to see a wrestling heel like Nate Jacobs. That I would probably, I don't know. I don't want to see that. That's a little too much. Zoe Sung is back saying, "Oh, right, on a completely unrelated note, Andrade is a Far Cry villain, right? He wears suits to the ring and a mask and just takes them off just before wrestling. He can't understand that people are friends without it being a working relationship, and he's crazy." Makes sense to me.
You convinced me. You convinced. I'm sold. I'm sold already.
I will say again quickly that I am cautiously optimistic that we're about to get the Andrade run in AEW. I think they've had to hold off the Andrade run for Jeff Hardy to show up so they can kick Matt out, have him move over to Jeff Hardy, and have Andrade take off in Matt's place. So
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. I'm hoping for big things for Andrade in the near future. Nate S says, I can't not laugh at Ultima Wagon. The best nickname by far, in my opinion. What is the NXT 2.0 variant for SP3? What does SP3 stand for in this timeline?
Oh, I have no idea. I've had Sock Puppet 3 when everybody was with the sock puppets on Quizlemania. I believe Uptown Avondale has come up with various variations of SP3, but I'll leave it up to you, to all of you in the live chat, Ultrachats. Y'all can come up with the SP3 variant of 2.0. What is SP3 2.0?
I have no idea. I'd be really scared to find out. And the last one's coming in. Ten Raza says that with A-Kid coming over, do you see them starting to bring NXT UK talent over and starting to wrap up NXT UK? Will NXT UK be a thing in 2023? Guys, get excited. It's Dynamite tonight. Jeff Hardy. Apparently, Jeff Hardy's not going to be there because of contracts, and he's a free agent tomorrow. But, let's just, pay them off, have it be one day earlier. Chelsea Green did that at one point. Come on,
play just ball. have him appear on the Rampage taping. It's not going to play until Friday when he's a free agent. Why not? Yes, it's going to be spoiled to us on the internet, but I don't care. I want to see Jeff in AEW.
I don't know if they could get away with that if it's he appeared in front of a crowd, so whatever. You want to get sued. And our mod mother has wanted us to remind everybody that we will be going to a new start time next week for NXT, that being 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. British time, because of course we are transitioning into our new hosts of SP3 and our wonderful Satin Niangi. And I'm a bad host. I don't remember exactly who the hosts are for next week because it's I think it's Pete and someone, isn't it? Is it Pete?
Yeah, I believe it's Sat. Pete. I think it's Pete and Sat, and then the week following is Pete, Sat, and you. And then the week following that is the 30th is the official start of the new era of Mocha 2.0 of me and Sat reviewing NXT.
Okay, I've got it here. So yes, we will be going to the new start time next week. Can confirm. Those are in the chat. Thank you, mods. But next week will be myself and Sat, and then the week after that will be myself, Sat, and SP3, and then finally on March 30th we get the first full-on Sat and SP3 NXT review. So make sure that you tune into all of those as we do go through this very exciting transition. Pete just managed to get out of doing all NXT things forever, it seems. He was supposed to be on this show. I don't know what happened there. But regardless.
I'm fine for the Euphoria references because I wouldn't be able to do this with Pete. So thank you.
I appreciate that, my man. I appreciate that very much. So thank you as always for watching this episode of the NXT podcast. If you're watching on catch up, make sure to click the videos that have appeared around the screen right here. It could be a ring. Who knows? I'll body slam you on this screen. Just make sure you click all the videos. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like and subscribe everywhere that you get your podcasts. And make sure to stay beautiful and have a lovely day.